welcome back to my channel. This is Wishblend reporting in. This is part 9 of fan-based project Evolution, an EDRPG Addition. Enjoy. So this just adds on to it. So together with that, the shield booster values were also altered. So you've got like a 4%, 8% all the way through to A and A star. Gives you an extra boost value. So rebalancing the shields also means you need to rebalance the ship weapons. So due to the design of the weapons, some weapons are simply better than others. Cannons are meant as module killers with a low damage per second, yet due to the numbers, a cannon is simply a +1 mortar cannon with more ammo. Mortar cannon has a gamble that it can be either deal 5 more or 5 less damage than a cannon. It doesn't reflect its damage per second hull killer roll. Railguns are supposed to be the best module killer and a sniper weapon, yet due to the RPG rules, it's limited to a 10% chance to hit a module. There is no skill involved. Beam lasers are supposed to have a highest DPS, but in the RPG they just have a 10 more burst than a burst laser and priced at around 10 times the value for offering a chance to deal more damage when you massively overshoot the required to hit. Missiles were changed to hardpoint killers a while ago. So fleshing them all out, mortar cannons now deal a +10 damage against the hull and the ammo is increased to 50. Burst lasers now deal a +10 damage against shields. The beam lasers have 10 points of burst damage shifted to base damage and deal +10 to damage against shields. So for small, it's 15 burst with 10 burst. Medium 25 burst with 10 burst. The 10's all burst on the right, but you can see how it's going up. So you've got 15 small, 25 medium, 35 large, and 45 for the huge. Now if you have a fighter, they do 20 burst. Cannons now have a critical hit on a 9 or a 10. Railguns have a critical hit on 8, 9 or 10, but their ammo has been increased to 30. Missiles and torpedoes can only deal critical damage to weapons and utility. The penetrative warhead changes to it to include internals again. So if you want to use missiles or torpedoes to get into a hull and damage other items rather than the weapons and utility, you have to have the penetrative warhead mod on it. Critical hits only damage the module, not the hull. Any damage that goes above the module integrity is transferred to the hull. So that's a way to rebalance those bits. So we've got new missile racks and torpedoes. So you've got, they're basically move that over a bit. There you go. So you've got the description on the left, how much power it takes, what's the accuracy bonus or negative thing, because some of these are minus rather than plus. I think it's, the torpedoes are the minus. Damage to given, less burst shields, and also on top of damage plus the value if it's against shields. How much ammo, how much cost. Torpedoes are a lot tougher than the regular missiles and require 3 successful point defenses to destroy. So if I basically fire a torpedo at an enemy, they have to hit it with 3 point defense lasers to destroy it. There's more chance it's going to actually hit the target rather than just being taken out by the first shot. We've included the advanced docking computer and the supercruise assist modules. So if you wanted to add them into the thing instead of doing spaceship piloting checks and that to successfully land in the stations, you can do. It's up to the players and the GM. So Discovery Scanner and Detailed Service Scanner. The Discovery Scanner is now segregated to every single ship with no additional cost. This was a change made in the main game, so we've replicated it here. So the detailed service scanner can now use additional filters to detect sources of life of minerals or minerals on planets. To reflect the now removed Discovery scanner, its failures have been merged with the basic sensor unit here internally. So basically what we did was, we've got the basic internal sensor here, grade A up to E. So if you've got an E, you only get 1 point in the exploration between adventure rolls. If you have an A, you get 5 points towards the exploration between adventure rolls. The rest is still the same, with detailed service scanner, vehicle handler SRV and fuel scope. So we have a new Olympic control section. So these new Olympics are basically controllers who can perform more than one role within the same slot. For difficulty checks, if manually using them, you need to refer to the closed manoeuvring pilot checks, which we'll get to in a minute. These combined Olympic controllers, they merge several different Olympics controllers into one at the cost of sharing the maximum amount of Olympics. Each included module still has its own maximum amount of Olympics and difficulty. So these are like different modules, like Xeno, one's like for decontamination, repair, research. Rescue will be like fuel, transfers, hatch breaker and repair. Operations will be like collector, hatch breaker, recon. Mining is prospector and collector. So basically got description, power, hardness, which is life of the module. How many Olympics you can fire control at the same time at one time, what's included and how much it costs. At the end of it, you get 2 levels 7 universal ones here, which pretty much does everything, and has 8 Olympics at the same time. It costs a lot more money, but when you want one for everything, there you go. Individual things though, how do they work? Okay, the decontamination Olympic controller. The decontamination Olympics are used to cleanse the Thargoid corrosive from ships or hulls. Each Olympic can remove 5 corrosion per turn. In combat, the user has to make a spatial piloting check and beat the listed difficulty check to stay close enough with the receiving target. This has to be done once per turn. If the user fails or moves away from the receiving ship, all items will self-destruct. So short version, you've got the Olympics to cleanse the contamination on your fellow pilot's ship. For you to cleanse that ship, you have to get close enough, which is the range limiter just here, and then basically you fire the Olympic, it goes over to that ship and basically starts cleaning the Thargoid corrosive gunk off the ship. You have to do a spatial piloting check to stay within range of the ship, as in this range here. If you fail, you drift outside the range and then all Olympics are self-destruct. If you stay inside the range, it basically cleans it off. Recon Olympic controller, it's a similar thing, but it's used to hack into data points, data transmitters, cargo bays and the mega ships. Basically, you need to get up close and succeed on several spatial piloting checks once per turn for as long as the Olympic hacks. If you fail a check, the Olympic no longer works. If 3 checks fails, the drone runs out and self-destructs. It's got to basically last the range, and this is the time to hack. So 4 turns to do that one, 3 turns for that one. But if you've got a 70 Olympic controller, you can basically hack in 1 turn. Researcher Olympic controller, say they collect the other 3 samples and then self-destructs. You roll the 1d100 per limpet fire to see what you found. Each sample counts as 1 unit. And what do you find? You've got this lovely table here between 1 and 100 to basically work out what you've gathered. So these are the material gathered, this is where it's gathered from, and this is how much it's going to be worth. Now, you can see the different values and that, so you can have fun with that. Fuel transfer limpet controller. Basically, each limpet will transfer 1 ton of fuel from your ship to another ship. Again, if it's in combat, you need to basically stay close enough to your fellow ship, otherwise the limpet will basically self-destruct and yeah, you lose it. They can be shot down by hostile ships that are up close with the receiving target, but as I say, each point defence can attempt to shoot a single limpet per turn. As I say, you've got the hardness, power, range, difficulties do. So it's fun and games. Repair limpet controller. They can repair 5 hull per turn for a number of turns. Basically, it counts as a full action. You can launch multiple drones per thing. So have a look, have a play. So if you're outside, if you're outside of combat, they automatically repair the ship for the maximum duration. If you're in combat, you need to basically stay close to it, beat the difficulty check, and stay within range. That's pretty much it. As I say, it's going to be a lot easier for you to read it on your own once it's all finished and comes out, but this update, this video, is just to give you an idea of where we are, what we've got worked in, what's still got to come, and yeah, just to make you aware of the project. So moving on, we have experimental ship weapons. So these are new weapons for the ships, I believe, coming in the update. And when I say update, I'm referring to the evolution project you're currently watching. It's not an update for the main game, it's just the EDRPG update project. So we've got a medium fixed remote release flechette launcher. Think of like a shotgun effect. As I say, I'll leave it on the screen for a bit so you can have a scroll down. Of course, anything you want to see, please just pause the video and have a read. It should be nice and clear for you. So we've got shot cannons. So here we go. Remote release flechette launcher works similar to the anti-Cino flat launcher, but instead of releasing a cloud of AX shrapnel, this one releases a cloud of metallic shards. Due to its nature, a wartime detonation can bypass shields and directly damage hull and modules. This deadly cloud becomes more deadlier the more flechettes you launch, shredding even the toughest ships. Since these shards are tiny, even the weaker shields fully project against them unless the missile detonates inside the shield. Shot cannon. The shot cannon is a very experimental semi-automatic weapon firing a dense energy projectile. This projectile has not enough energy to overload shields, but is surprisingly effective at melting through hull. So if you get a ship's shields down, these two type of weapons do a lot of damage. So engineering. So you've got the engineering in the supplements and that, and a bit in the core book, but it's a bit chunky at times. So we've decided to change it around, so that brings us to the changes to engineering. So we're going to reduce the random factor, that's the main gist of it. So as it says here, engineering in Elite Dangerous is way too random and often felt unrewarding. Since the release of EDRPG, the system has been changed. To reflect this, the changes made in Elite Dangerous, the main game, a few parts have been changed. Each engineer now has, now this part here is to do with the EDRPG. Each engineer has now 1 out of 10 specializations. Yes, there can be random engineers with no specialization. They are scammers. If you as a GM roll one of them, you can make a hidden insight check for the players and tell them if they notice something shady or not. Those engineers roll completely random like an untrained player. So basically, you could get scammed that on new upgrades. So the description is random engineers will roll a 2d10 to determine their speciality and 1d100 to determine their skill level. Player engineers can choose a speciality at repair 30, 60 and 90. The engineer background starts with 1 since it already increases repair to 30. However, whenever you modify something that is in your specialization, you can freely choose any modification equal to or below your role, decide to return it back to the original value but lose 50% of the money invested. Example, you've learned hard points specialization. You have rolled an 18 on the weapon modification. You can choose a modification up to the 18 if there's one below that would be more interesting. If you instead roll a 14 on a power module, which is not your specialization, you are stuck with that roll. I'll explain that in a minute. So this here is when you're rolling to see what your specialization thing is. Well, yeah. So you got D10 here. You roll to see whether you beat the hard point, shield, friendship, power, etc. so on. I think, yeah, that's if you're doing a random 2d10 situation. If you're a player, you get to choose whichever one you want. So these are, yeah. Yeah, that's basically so this example here is on the next page, which I'm going to show. So yeah, these roll here is to determine basically what level it is if you're randomly doing it. So these are the basically charges. So altered engineering values. To better fit into the in-game ship builder, a few of the values have changed. Some former fixed values like charge now uses a scaling system, increasing in strength the higher you roll. It was made to remove unrewarding duplicate entries in those tables. So for example, just looking at this table here, I should note before we go into it that you got charged, hardened and monstered as a positive effect, and you got fail, ruin, monofunction, clumsy drag, fragile, clumsy and flashpoint as defaults. Monstered is an additional type of increased power. Energized has been removed. So for example, if you get a charge 40% with monster at 7%, that results in you having a total power of 47 increase. Now, if you roll, say, a 15 on this chart to engineer your power plant, because that's your specialization. Now, if you got a specialization power plant, you roll 15, which will basically put you just here. Now, if you basically want to have the monstered, like a 13, so you have like 27% power increase instead of a hardened and just 20% power increase, as it's your specialization, you can do that. If the power plant is not your specialization, you are stuck with this roll. I hope that explains it a bit easier. So, shield generator. has basically been changed over. So shields do not scale as high as in Elite Dangerous. This was intentionally limited because shields can reach extremely high values. Combat would basically be too long. So that is the reason why. Again, if a shield generates a specialisation, you can, and you roll say like a 17, and you wanted something different, then you can always roll back to one of the lower ones, but you couldn't go this way. Weapons, basically the same. Utility, so that's conserve power, magnify hardened. Friendship drive, basically hardened, jump boost, jump extension, or multiple ones of them. If you get lucky and get 20 on your roll, you basically get boost, extension, and hardened. So experimental effects. To spice things up a bit, these effects can help make space combat more interesting. So adding an experimental effect requires the module to be engineered with a regular enhancement first, which we've just gone through. The effects can be bought for another 25% of the module cost in the same job or added later. Power effects require a special permit with a faction. These special effects can stack with one other experimental effect. Heat damage is a special form of damage that can be applied by some effects. This damage value is counted separately from regular hull damage. If the heat damage reaches 50% or higher of the target's total hull, the crew takes 1d10 damage per turn. Additionally, 3 random modules take 1d10 damage per turn. The EM damage, otherwise known as electromagnetic damage, is a special form of damage that can be applied by some effects. It is calculated separately from the hull, but it deals double damage to weapons and it deals double its weapon damage to shields, but only half to the hull. So basically, because the electromagnetic thing affects shields, it does damage to the shields, but not the hull, because the hull's a different thing. If the EM damage reaches a value higher than the remaining hull of the target, it becomes disabled. This also applies with a regular hit, which is the hull below the EM damage threshold. So it's basically a way of shocking the ship and how to disable it. So we have the pulse disruptor, anti-opponent laser to disable ships. It doubles the module damage and disables the hit module for 1 round per damage per round. Gives you per damage. Tongue tie there. Disables the hit module for 1 round per 10 damage. So if you get 20 damage, that's 2 rounds, 30 damage, 3 rounds, and so on. Cortical sequence, emission mutation, and eternal impact. All these are like the special effects and that you can get. I've also got a bit more down here. The phase equals spectrum scramble spectrum and thermal shock. Crypto Scrambler is a power play faction weapon. It's been modified to deal 250% damage to shields, run it down to the closest 5, but does no damage to the shields. Sorry, no damage to the hull, I should say. So you got little comments between me and Lazarus and that in off to the side as we were working through them. So this one here is basically just added the thermal shocking. This one here, beam laser, we've got mining lance, and from that person, and retributor from this person. Different weapons for the beam laser, and of course we've got the normal add-ons. The enforcer cannon from Pravol Antel. So this is the burrow cannon. This is from the collective created EDRPG powers. So it fires a small drone bows with a hull, 2 target product components. On the critical hit, select a module within 2 points of your roll, up or down. This module is hit instead of the one rolled. If the life support is hit, spawn one borrow drone per weapon size inside the ship. So nasty little weapon. And it's also got this other addition bits you can add on top of it. So then you got pacifier frag cannon here. So yeah, that can be just removed. Plasma accelerators. So you've got the advanced plasma accelerator here. On a miss, reroll attack once with 50% damage. Plasma lance. Oh, this is the one of the EDRPG powers. Gives you +1 to hit, +1 to critical hit, so 9, 10. It also improves orbital strike. Yeah, because you can use ship weapons in orbital strikes. But you'll understand once we get to that section, which is coming up. Imperial Hammer, Railgun from Alicia Rissa Developer. Containment Missile, basically takes out your FSD so you can't escape. Packhound missiles, also immune to point defense. Silent Hunter Torpedo, this is Lisa Brown. This is the last of the EDRPG powers. So Silent Hunter Torpedo, also known as Unseen Hand, works on a 3-stage system. Once launched, it jettisons its shell with embedded heat sinks to draw attention away from the main torpedo, while also cooling it to make it harder to detect. The torpedo then coasts along before exploding when passing its target, doing EM damage to the ship's shields, dropping them depending on the torpedo yield. It does 140 electromagnetic damage to first shields and 35 electromagnetic damage to the hull. Targets have to succeed in their dice check of 12 and systems or perception check to notice and target a torpedo. It will require 2 point defense hits to destroy it. So it's a nasty little sneak weapon to take out an opponent's shields if they're not paying attention. And if you pair it with the reverberating cascade, then that'll be even more damaging. So we've got some mine launchers here, so you can take out targets with thrusters. Yeah, this is basically just me and Lazarus discussing it. Might actually see about taking that out. Yeah, I think it'd be too OP with that on. Just copy that. Sorry about doing this while we're doing the recording, but sometimes you have to. Yep, that's that done. So yeah, this is like for mines and that, so you can basically drop the mines out of your ship and that, and basically let it go boom. And that is the end of part 9 out of 13 sections. I hope you enjoyed what we've done. As I say, it's a long update. We've been working, for about 2.5-3 years on it, so plenty still to come. But we're about 3/4 of the way through, I think. Anyway, with that, I'll see you in the next one. Laters.